Yeah. So here, yesterday we stopped the session here. Like we extracted username and password from two text boxes. I didn't write any logic for hiding the code of, hiding the data of this password. Uh, Actually, I would have made a choice of making the text content to be available with password data. I didn't select, so both will be visible for us now, text and password, because we actually want to check now how the code is working. For that reason I didn't convert that. Okay, do remember that. Okay, now what do you want to do? You want to check this username and password, whatever you gave. Where you want to check this? You want to check this in web.config file. Web.config. So I write one if condition here. If I write forms authentication. Okay. Okay, it's not coming in the intelligence window, so I'll better go on top and I'll add here using system dot web dot security. If forms authentication dot authenticate username password, block open. So what forms authentication will do? Acha, this might be. Oh, okay. This is okay. 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 Is obsolete. Forms authentication string comma string is obsolete. The recommended alternative is to use membership APIs such as membership.validate user. Okay. For more information, go to Microsoft link. Why? Okay. Okay. Anyways, what does it say is why you're getting warning is this is like old technology or old technique to authenticate web form. New technique. For that reason, we are getting a warning. Otherwise, program will respond, no issues. So it is asking me to use latest technique, that is using called what? Membership.validate user. That it is asking me to use. Okay, anyways, we'll try first this, then we'll talk on that also. So what do you want to do now? What forms authentication will do? Forms authentication class will take you to web.config, and there it will authenticate with the username and password whatever you have mentioned in your web.config file. Web.config file, whatever the username and password you have mentioned, that it will authenticate. So after authentication it will enter into this block, and then here I write forms authentication dot set auth cookie username, and then chk remember me dot checked. Yes. Now remember one more thing. One more thing. What is it? Whenever we after checking, I mean after checking, what it will do if username and password is valid. If username and password is valid. So when it returns back to client, providing login page, providing what? Login page. So along with that login page, it returns one cookie also. It returns one cookie. So that cookie will help us in going to that secured web page. Do you understand what it returns and what is happening? What it returns and so what it returns? Cookie it will return. Then what happens? then what happens when it returns cookie? What happens? Yeah, it will return cookie, so that that cookie will help us in going to the what do you call mm, secured folder web page. For that reason, it will return your cookie. And after that, what happens? After that, you'll have even query string available. That query string I'm returning. String URL is equal to request dot query string, and I'll write here return URL semicolon. Then we write response dot redirect URL semicolon. Response dot redirect with what? URL. Same. If it is wrong content if you have, then you say else, then you can say lbl error dot text is equal to invalid username and password semicolon. That's it. Invalid username and password. Invalid username and password. Okay. Anything you want to ask in this code, you can. Anything you have. If everything is comfortable, then let me proceed. Last session, I have shown you that when it goes to login.aspx page from home page without authentication, there was return URL. On yesterday, I have shown you that by copying in Notepad file, return URL query string was added, and in that return URL we are using now. So that return URL was containing a web page. Return URL is containing a web page. Containing a web page. Which web page? That secured folder web page it is containing. Secured folder web page it is containing. Anand, you have okay, Srinivas. Anand, you have anything to ask in this code? Are you comfortable of this? Okay, that's fine. Okay. So what exactly we do now is let's run the code now. Let's run the code. So I have to be where now? I have to be in default.aspx of home page. Execute the code. Now click on this. Yes. Username user1, password p1, log on, error it is. Invalid username and password. If I make this username correct U1, password P1, now if I log on, what happened? Password, username, password is same, no? Did I give capital? Huh? Web.config you open. U1, P1, they are in small letters only, right? They are in small letters. Then what happened? Just 1 second, let me check once again. Save all, run the code. U1, P1, username U1, password P1, log on. Array. Yes. Correct. Okay. Currently, okay, why it is not working is by default, credentials are being applied with policy, password policy, credentials. So I should write here credentials. Here I should write password format clear, means no policy. Do not apply any policy. Yes, now you will get. Yes. Means password policy, you remember, no? Like you should have capital letter, small letter, and you should have, like digits, special characters. That policy we are trying to avoid. That policy we are trying to avoid. Click on this. Yeah, now it should work, I hope. User 1, password 1, authenticated, log on. Yes, got work now. Web.config I added. Look into that, please. Web.config. What is the cookie? What is that cookie it will return? Hope you remember what I said just now. Cookie will return with what now? Username. Key value pair, na? Key value pair. Only value it is returning. Value. Username it is returning. You want key also. That key name value pair. So that name you can specify here. Name is equal to auth cookie. Name equal to auth cookie. Oh, sorry. Not here. It's giving error. Here I should write forms name equal to auth cookie. Yes, now run the code. User 1, password 1, log on. Yes. Now it is working. Okay, so this is what happens now. Okay, now another important thing in this concept is now what I want to go to login page directly. Login page directly. So what I should do, I'll go to default.aspx of home page. Already we are in that page. After going there, what you do is login page.aspx file is there. Here, login.aspx file is there. That file you drag and drop on home page here. I'll better keep little down I'll keep. Okay, I'll keep here. Drag and drop login.aspx page. Now what to do now after that? Now what to do? Let's run the code again. Now interesting thing to highlight now. Again run the code. Click on login page directly now. I'm not clicking where I want to go. I'm trying to click on to where login.aspx page. I'm trying to click on to where login.aspx page. Okay, click on that. Then we'll see what next process will happen now. Let's see that now. Login.aspx. Yes, it is coming. But when it has come to login.aspx page, you don't find return URL in it. You don't find return URL. Okay, you don't find what? Return URL is missing. Okay, so now next, what do you want then? If return URL is missing, so it means after going to login page, the biggest problem that you face is you may not be in a position to go to secured folder page. Try now. Give correct username and password. User 1, password 1. Click on log on. Error. Why? Simple. Return URL is not there. You have written a logic for return URL. You have written a logic for what? Return URL. What's the message you see? Argument null exception. That's what the error you're getting. Argument null exception. Argument null exception. You're getting that what? Error. Argument null exception. Now what to do? Now what it should do? What I should do now? It should go to default.aspx. That is what is not happening. Try once. Okay, login page, username, password, U1, P1, and I click on login, it's giving error. Okay, so we got exception, null argument null exception. So, okay, so I should explain now. What I should say. Okay, what I want is, I missed this 1 second, just give me, run this code once again. This is perfectly working. When you click on it, if I give user 2, password 2, this has no issue. Okay, that's fine. Now when I click on login.aspx, here I give user 3, password 3. Now when I click on log on, what you want is, if I click on log on, again it should come back. It should come back to home page. That logic I should write now. I repeat again, listen carefully. When I run this code now, I'm not clicking on to where I want to go now. Which page I want to access, I'm not deciding that. First, I'm going to login page. So when I give username and password, I mean, when I'm authenticated here, I want to come back again to where? To home page. That logic I should write. Okay. So for that, what I should do, I should go to web.config. Here I should add now. Here, what I should add? Default URL is equal to /default.aspx. Yes. Yes, you should add this. Close this file. Now go to login.aspx.cs. You have issue with null value. So here I write if URL equals to null. If it is null, then I write response dot redirect forms authentication dot default URL semicolon. Else go to the URL. That is the logic. Save. Run the code. Now click on this login page once. Yes. Now give the username, password, log on. Yes. This is now click on this. It should go directly now because we already have authenticated with username and password. It should go to default.aspx directly. Yes. Secured folder web page. Direct. Secured folder web page. Direct access we had. Did you understand the logic what I said here? Okay. And one more interesting thing. One more interesting thing that what we have is here login.aspx.cs is there now. We'll try just what we do. This part I'll comment, okay? This part. I'll comment this and I introduce single line code now. Forms authentication dot redirect from login page username and remember me dot check. Okay, let's see both scenarios with this one line of code now. Okay, let's go now. Go to home page, default.aspx, execute the code. First, we'll go to the secured folder. Okay, it took me to this user one and password one. Log on. Fine, this is working. Okay, close. Rerun the code again. Now I click on login page directly. It is going there. User one, password one. Log on. Home page also it is coming. Default. Yes. It means this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 lines. 6 lines of code you have what do you call compressed to single line of code. Forms authentication dot redirect from login page username and checkbox. Username and checkbox both. And now what is your next part is you want to check your username and password from database. Next part that you want to have it. You want to check your username and password both. Yeah, you want to have username and what? Password. Both you want to check now. So if you want to check from database, so what you have to do is this complete code you have to remove, and you have to get your username and password from database, where you have to make your ADO.NET available in your coding part. This username I'm getting from text box now, and you're getting in username, and you should write ADO.NET code here. That once I complete ADO.NET, you have to try that code. Okay, you try that code. If everything goes fine, that is well. Otherwise, just update me. At least I'll explain my logic. Okay. Anyways, this I'll comment, and this I'll uncomment. So this default.aspx is my startup page. Okay. But it doesn't matter in which page you are. Execution will be home page every time. Now you go to default.aspx of secured folder. Secured folder. Now here what I would like to do is I would like to have whatever the username you have authenticated now, that username it should provide now. That username it should provide. For where? Output. That username should be provided for what? Output. So what I will do, in this, instead of break line, here I'll write break line, break line, break line. Here I'll write ASP colon label, label, run at server, ASP colon label, run at server, ID equal to LBL username, and I'll close and I'll put here welcome, and that username will come there. Which username? Whichever the user you have authenticated, that username should come for us. Okay then. But where I should write? I should write now that code I should write now. Welcome which user? Whichever authenticated. So to get that user for authentication, go to code behind file. LBL username dot text is equal to user object dot identity dot name. Yes. Try now. Execute the code. Home page will come now. Yes, home page. Click on login page. Okay. U1, P1, log on. Yes. Secured folder. Yes, here it has come. Welcome user 1. That is the username which has actually authenticated. Okay, till here it's done. Now what to do next part is, okay, now come back. In default.aspx of root, somewhere at the end or somewhere here, I'll keep one link button. Go to toolbox, link button. Yes, still in the corner, I'll push this. What properties you want to have? Go to properties, text. I'll have logout ID LNKBTN logout. Visible, it should not be visible. False. Okay, let's run the code. You don't find that now. If I run my code. Yes. When it should show me logout? After authentication. Means once I log in now, here username, password, log on. Now it should show me here because we have authenticated now, but we didn't write code for that. Okay. So I go to now code behind file for this. Now I write what if user.identity dot is authenticated. Then I'll write lnkbtn logout dot visible equal to true, else lnk button logout dot visible equal to false. lnk btn logout dot visible equal to false. Okay, save this. Now let's see first whether that code is working or not. After that, we'll plan out how to write logic. Okay, click on login.aspx. Okay, click on user 1, password 1. Yes, now it shows logout because you have authenticated. And now what is your requirement? When you click on logout button, you already authenticated, so it should log out. And again, when I click on login.asp, when I click on the secured folder, it should take you to this one, login page. So that logic I should write now. Okay. So click on logout button. Okay, sorry. I should write now. Double click on this button and I write now. Forms authentication. Why it is not? Acha, I should write that on the top. Using system.web.security. Yes. Now come down. I write here. Forms authentication dot sign out. Yes. Now let's run the code again. Once it is sign out, link button I want to disable again. lnk btn logout dot visible equal to false. Chalo, right. Run the code. Sign out is direct method, built-in method. Run the code. Debug. Start without debug. Click. User 2, password 2, login. Yes. Log out. Okay. Why don't we do like this? When you log out, it should not be even in home page. Now that is different. If I click here, it will go to login page. Yes, because log out now. So when you log out, it should come to login page again. We'll write the code in that way. So sign out, login button visible, equal to false. Here I will write what I will write. Forms authentication dot redirected to login page. Okay. Now let's run the code again. Execute the code. Login page. User 3, password 3. Log on. Log out. Yes. Now it has redirected to where? Then here username. Yeah, it's working. Wrong user. Okay. Authenticate. Huh? Remember me. Log on. Secured page. नहीं, log out. Okay. That's it. This concludes your forms authentication. Okay, tomorrow's class, I'll show you Windows authentication. Tomorrow's class, I'll show you. So that security part will be completed. Windows authentication. This concludes your forms authentication. But you have to go through the video. Okay, this is a little logical. A lot of things to know, where to write, what to write, so that the confusion will not be there. Okay, fine.